5,000 years ago, long before the United States existed, North America was a land untouched by cities or civilization. Towering mountains rose above endless forest, while crystal-clear rivers carved their way through the wilderness. For the first peoples who called this land home, every journey was a step into the unknown. Armed with nothing more than handcrafted stone spears and generations of knowledge, they followed the rivers, crossed vast valleys, and searched for places where life could flourish. They were not conquerors of nature, they were part of it. Every sunrise brought new opportunities, every trail told a story, and every decision meant the difference for countless generations. Survival meant movement. Ancient families followed rivers, valleys, and changing seasons in search of food, fresh water, and safer lands. Every step into the wilderness demanded courage, patience, and trust in the knowledge passed down by their ancestors. Children walked beside their parents, learning the rhythms of nature from an early age. The elders understood the land, the weather, and the behavior of animals, guiding each journey with experience earned over a lifetime. There were no maps, no roads, and no certainty about what lay beyond the next mountain. Yet these early travelers adapted to some of the harshest environments on Earth, laying the foundation for generations of indigenous communities that would one day thrive across North America. Survival in ancient North America demanded more than courage. It required patience, skill, and teamwork. Every hunt was carefully planned because one mistake could cost a life. The American bison was one of the most valuable animals on the plains. It provided meat for food, hides for clothing and shelter, and bones that could be shaped into useful tools. Nothing was wasted. Every part of the animal served a purpose. Experienced hunters moved together in silence, reading the wind, watching the herd, and waiting for the perfect moment. Their handcrafted stone spears were simple, but in skilled hands they became powerful tools of survival. This was never a hunt for sport. It was a hunt for families, for children, and for the future of the community. In the wilderness, respect for nature was as darkness settled over
Long
the wilderness. The river gave us light to an end. The warmth, we honor the fire that protects everyone together.
The stars are so bright.
Campsite into the heart of the community. This was where stories came alive. Elders shared memories of distant journeys, successful hunts, and the lessons their ancestors had passed down through countless generations. Every story carried knowledge, how to survive harsh winters, where to find food, and how to live in balance with the land. Children listened closely, watching every gesture and every expression. Long before books were ever written, history was preserved through voices, memory, and tradition. Around the fire, the next generation learned not only how to survive, but who they were. Above them, the endless night sky. To these early communities, the natural world was far more than a place to live. It was the foundation of life itself. The rivers provided fresh water. The forests offered food and shelter. And the mountains stood as timeless landmarks across the landscape. Many Ancients viewed nature with deep respect and gratitude. Each sunrise marked the beginning of a new day. Each successful hunt was met with appreciation, and every season reminded them that life depended on living in balance with the land. Knowledge was carefully passed from one generation to the next. Elders taught children to observe the changing skies, understand the movement of animals, and care for the environment that sustained their people. Rather than taking more than they needed, these communities understood that survival depended on respect. For thousands of years, indigenous nations had flourished across North America, building diverse cultures, languages, and traditions deeply connected to the land. Then, on the distant horizon, something entirely unfamiliar appeared. Large sailing ships emerged from the sea, carrying explorers from Europe into a world they had never seen before. For the people watching from the shoreline, the towering vessels raised questions that no one could answer. Were they visitors, traders, or the beginning of something far greater? That first encounter marked a turning point in history. Over the centuries that followed, exploration, trade, conflict, disease, and colonization would transform the continent forever. Yet, despite these profound changes, the cultures and traditions of indigenous peoples endured. The story of America did not begin with the arrival of the ships. It began thousands of years earlier with the first peoples who walked these lands, cared for them, and called them home. As the years passed, constant travel slowly gave way to a new way of life. After following rivers, hunting across open plains, and learning the rhythms of the seasons, some indigenous communities began choosing places they could truly call home. Along fertile riverbanks and beneath towering mountains, families worked together to build their first permanent villages, using wood, bark, stone, and other natural materials. They created shelters designed to protect them from changing weather while remaining close to fresh water and abundant wildlife. These villages became more than places to live. They were centers of family life, where children grew up surrounded by knowledge. Elders shared generational contributed to daily survival. Life became more organized. Food could be prepared and stored. Tools could be crafted with greater care, and traditions grew stronger with each passing season. The foundation of thriving communities had begun to take shape. What started as a journey through the wilderness was now becoming a lasting home. One built not only with wood and stone, but with cooperation, resilience, and a deep respect for the land.